Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are going to do the four-wheel steering conversion to our Axial UTB18. Okay guys, let's check this out. As you know, we're having a lot of fun with this buggy. It's perfect time of year for it. It just fits onto our micro mountain. You can, still get out right now. It's not really cold out, so having a lot of fun with it. Anyway, we want to do like these buggies have with the portals and everything, and do the four-wheel steering conversion. So, small parts list. I got this from Rex Racer on Instagram, and you're gonna need some 8x12 by 3.5 bearings for your portal covers. You will need some steering links. We're going to use the aluminum ones that we used on the rear, or you could just use the plastic ones you've taken off and put on there, but you might as well upgrade. So AX13114002. Then you're going to need the portal conversion parts, or the front components, portal axle components package. It gives you a servo mount, the big C-hubs to mount the portal boxes, and your little plastic bushings, because they just use a regular 3x12mm screw to tie that together. Then you're going to need a set of the steering portal boxes for the front. You can harvest the gears from the rear, put in the front, but you do need these output bearings for them to work, or input bearings, sorry, for them to work. And, of course, a set of CVDs, part number AX121203. Those are just stock, not upgraded. I hope somebody comes over with some upgraded ones. A lot of guys are breaking them, but I think they're probably running on 3S. So in the last video, we put that nice link riser on the back, and then we discussed that when we go to the four steer, we're going to have to remove that. That's where you're going to mount your link mount and your servo mount into there. And we're going to put the nice Reefs 299 low profile servo into the rear. The front servo is good and strong. It's working up there. When you're carrying more load on the rear going uphill and kind of pushing around, so we want the stronger one out rear first, and then we'll upgrade to another one in the front later on. And we grabbed a Reefs horn while we were at the store and picked all that up. All the parts again from our friends over at EliminatorRC, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Check them out. And let's get it. Okay guys, simple enough. You're going to want to break that rear axle, crack into that goodness there, take the tires off. We're going to have to remove these outer portal axle kind of extension things that Axial designed for this setup. You can see this whole section comes right off, so it's going to be probably easiest if we just do this one side at a time, but we got to change out the blocks. We might as well just take it all right out. Quick and painless. Okay, simple enough. 2 screws either side there. Okay, so you're gonna have to remove all the screws because it's a 2/2 axle like so. And that will give you a chance to go in there and hit it with some utter butter from Caliber. So once we put it back together, their boxes are marked left and right. You can just whoop, take them right out. These guys are marked for left and right, but it's going on the rear, so we're going to want to reverse that because we want to have a rear camber. You don't want your rear axle pointing forward. So we're going to put right on left. So they added grease, but they didn't put grease onto the gears. They just put it around the middle, which won't actually do anything. So we're going to clean that up. Okay, so we got that set up with the backwards. We reversed them so we have the caster angle off backwards. In a high-speed situation, you wouldn't want that. You'd actually want both cambered forward with a 4-wheel steer high-speed car because this is going to make the back end want to walk around. But let's rock home. .118 scale axle, just again, even guys, you're gonna want to run those screws in by hand. Just close them up. Don't tighten them. In this instance, tight is bad. Of course, your end hubs can be tighter, like really tight, because there's no gears there, but if you have a gearbox, you want to make sure that you're not deflecting anything, so just keep slowly kind of working at them like we do. Make sure it's in and out a couple times, move on, come back to it. It'll all settle in where it wants to be with no deflection, no mashing, no squishing. Okay, so we're gonna have to gut these boxes for the gears, hardware, all that little bits in there and such like that. We'll break those down for the parts and we'll pop back in when it's time to build these front boxes and throw them in there. So you need those two 8x12 by 3.5 or whatever I said earlier in the video size bearings. Pop those into the back of your portal covers. Those are what support your CVD or universal axle AX121 ProNoobRC2003. You'll have to put these together once you have it all ready to slide in. So you can kind of go through, build your box. You'll actually need to put this in first before you build your box. So. Well, I guess not. You can just set the gears in there and close it up and put the pin in after. Okay, so it looks like we're deleting one of the bearings. We'll set the portal box up kind of like so. You can drop that other gear on top. We'll add some of our udder butter in there. And we can kind of close that up, and then we'll put the CVD or universal axle, in the back. So there you can go, as you pop the CVD in there. Once you put it all together, I was just kind of test fitting, make sure we had everything lined up. Now you're gonna pop that out of there again. So gearbox, tighten down by hand. Work your way around a couple times if you have to. Don't pitch a corner. Don't deflect it. Only plastic. Okay, so let's throw a CVD in. We can mount up the steering box, and then we'll throw the other half in and come back. So, dump out your bag of parts. Make sure you guys use a nice magnetic pit mat like this from Capra UTB18, so none of your parts go flying. You can even stand pieces up like that. Keep them all in order, like these little bushings for the portal boxes. So in the package you get 2 of the universal pins in the middle, a couple of the other pins that go through them, cross pins, 2 shims, and 2 stubs. So very simple. If we start with the right pieces. Pin through shaft, line up cuff through pin through shaft. There you go, set that through. Alright, simple enough. We'll put just a little bit of grease on the end of that shaft so you get no squeaking when it's sitting inside the locker. So you give us a couple of shims with it from where it needs to sit. I'm going to add a shim. Don't forget your little bushings. Put a little bit of grease on that little bushing. Throw a little bushing in hole. Grease will hold bushing and hold together. Okay, you want to make sure it's nice and floppy. Anyway, that's how you guys do it. Pretty simple. We're going to put the other side on. We're going to mount up that sweet little reef servo on the back. We're going to put this in the back of the truck. And we'll throw some links on it, come back. We'll catch some B-roll footage of all this happening. So stay tuned, and we're going to go test it out on the mountain as soon as we're done. So let's get it. Okay guys, welcome back. Okay, a lot has changed in the last few seconds of the video. It is now a week later. We kind of fell off on the build. I wasn't sure how I was going to make all the parts and pieces fit together, but now that we have pulled it off, we're going to do it again on Jesse's truck. So we will go through the interior build, but we wanted to show you the conversion that we did from the UTB18 to the UTB10, if you would. Now, these little ultra trail buggies, UTBs or whatever, if you watch the video, it's like some dude crammed into a shopping cart with a 4-cylinder on his back. So we kind of imitated the same thing. We took a 10-scale Capra interior, cut it in, just pretty much cut out this passenger. We moved the fuel tank from the back to the side here. And we took this 3D printed we got from Joey over at Simply RCs on YouTube. Check him out, good channel there. He had a couple of these. We just did some wheeling and dealing. We had a bag with him sitting in there for the last year. It's a little bit larger than it should be for scale, but at this point, who cares? It's a little bit bigger, but that's fine. It's not a terrible amount bigger. It's maybe 5 or 6 millimeters longer than it should be. So it's not bad. So that's going to work fine. Now we got the 22RE mounted in the back. We had to do some extensive modifications to the intake manifold. Now it's just sitting there. It is not completely mounted. So let's just shoehorn that little guy out of there like that. So you can see we cut the fuel tank out of the back. We left the front wall and the bottom shelf of the fuel tank. So that gave us something to mount the engine to. We cut our motor like this, so this guy can sit right on top this back wall right here, and then he steps down onto the lower deck, and then this guy hangs over the face. And we did shave down the end of the crank if you're planning on doing this. Now this is a free file from Thingiverse. It is the 22RE. It's actually a 10 scale, and it's all the actual individual pieces that you print separately. You get the little alternator and stuff like that we still got to put in there, and you put it all together. Now this guy, of course, doesn't have any internals or nothing. We've just used it as a mock, right? That's simple enough. So yeah, we got the engine in the back, so that looks cool. We got it on a slight little bit of an angle because the transmission and transfer case would kind of run up beside the driver to the passenger side of the shopping cart. And we used the original dash. I just had cut it out to fit the steering wheel through, and it's still tucked in. And I had a 10th scale, really nice tack from Scale Built on Instagram. Hit him up. He's the guy that does those nice little LCD screens that we have in a couple of our trucks, and really high quality prints and detail like that. The faces and the gauges and on his second done detail. So yeah, now from there, Capra driver, he's looking cool in there. We gave him that kind of cartoony paint job that we found is working well for our interiors and kind of our styling, so we're going to run with that. So happy with that. It's looking good. I do have some Pro line fuel filters. They're going to mount right here behind the shock, and I'm going to run a fuel line to the tank, which we have the fuel cell now sitting beside the driver. We're going to run a line to that and a line back to the engine. We do have the cool little distributor, and he's going to obviously mount in the distributor hole in the side of the engine. And we'll run the wires over their side. We'll just tuck them in there and glue them in there. There's no plugs, but try to be as scale as we can with it. Now, back to the whole scale thing in this. Yes, it was released as an 18 scale, but it just didn't fit the build. We know rock crawling, we know these buggies. They're tiny. They're just little things. They got these skinny little axles on them because you need them to fit in these crazy places. They don't have big 1-tons. They're not that type of buggy. They're mixing. People are thinking more rock bouncer when this is more of a, you know, like a Swiss Army blade. Usually you see these guys, or a Swiss Army knife. Usually there's a lot of these. They don't even have like a basic skid plate. It's just tubes and drive shafts. A guy can look through and see everything, the tires and the ground, every around, and just a chair mounted up. They're very cool units. So yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it. We came around, we followed up that Reese 299 LP low profile servo on the rear with another one in the front, and we changed out the hardware. We had that blue Level Up RC screws on the back. These nice little servo screws, Level Up RC. About $5 a piece in Canada, so go easy on those, they get pricey. We put matching front and rear hardware. We did finish up all the scale hardware on the wheels with the scale wheel lug nuts in the middle, and then all the ones on the bead. Got those all done, looking fantastic. The 4-steer we're running off the radio. We were playing, I was playing with having it with the mix switch and all done off the wheel, and it just gets too frustrating. We're going to go back to just using the other channel to steer the rear. A good trick for that is to turn down your servo speed to like 30% on the rear. I'm actually going to turn down the servo speed on the front too, because that 299 running at 7.4 or 5 volts off the stock BEC in the Mamba Micro X ESC that's in there makes it really fast for this little guy. It's stupid. So we're actually going to turn down both, probably 50% and 30%, because they are a technical buggy. It's not something you're going to be bashing and ripping through, so you can afford to have a little bit slower steering. Now, 30% steering on one of these Reefs is still probably just as quick as the stock servo we took out, so let's not think we're turning anything down. We're just taking it from that much more crazy over stock and relaxing it a little bit. You're still going to have the same power. You do not need the external BEC to bump these guys up to the 8.4 volt. It is such a small, light truck, you're not really going to bind it up much. You're not going to want to force it into those bind positions because they do have an inherent weak problem. The CVDs right here in the axles, they're very small, probably a 3mm axle shaft on the CVD, and a lot of guys are snapping those off, guys, girls, kids, moms, dads, whoever. But they're snapping those off, and there's none available. So we are going very gingerly on this guy right now to make sure that we don't end up on the waiting list to get some more. So yeah, we're going to go take it. Nice little tutor booter on the hill. I'm going to turn down some servo speed and make a couple quick changes on the radio, as I still have it in that 4-wheel steering setup on, there it is, on the DX4S. Pew! Batteries in it, batteries in it. Yep, it's in there. I can smell the volts. Okay guys, we got the Reese 299 LP. You can also see that the front headlights have turned a little bit of blue color, but that light bar is popping off with like crazy brightness. Now, we did turn the BC to, I think 7.5 was the maximum we could do on the Micro Mamba ESC. Gives us tremendous steering power. Now, I haven't turned that down to the 50% that I was just talking about. I wanted you guys to see that in raw form, how quick those Reese 299 LP servos are. They're a fantastic little race unit. A little aggressive in this guy. We gotta turn that down to look silly. And then we have the rear, you can see is, you know, nice and slow in the rear, which is nice. That's gonna keep you nice and planted when this thing gets jiggy with it. So, but yeah. So we got it set up. 4 modes on the controller. All the way down is rear steer. 1 click up is crab or is steer together. The next click up is crab walk, and all the way up is front steer only. Now it's kind of the only way you can get modulation with the rear steering, or proportion, whatever you want to call it. Otherwise you would just have to use this switch to control the rear. That's kind of the one downside to the 4-wheel steering radios. But once you kind of play with it, you can get it set up exactly you want. Just have some fun with it. So still the stock motor, but with the Castle ESC, it's going to give it like a lower starting point, better, cleaner, more efficient power to the motor than the stock combo ESC. Now these are those Class 1 BFGs we're talking about. Still perfect fit for this little guy. Crap. I've actually never used crab locking properly. That'll be the proper execution of a crab lock, that was it. Momentum. Okay guys, so that brings us to the end of this part of the video. More to come. We're loving the little Capra, the 4-wheel steering on it. Let's turn that on first. The 4-wheel steering. Now I'm holding it with a low profile. I don't like when they look all saggy like that. Look stupid. So we're going to do some suspension work. We're going to make some mods so we can tuck this up in a little tighter. The back has room to go. We just got to take these little spacers off. Stay tuned for the shock tuning and the center of gravity, the ride height video. But it's a fantastic looking truck. Now that we got that 10 scale driver in there, the larger interior, we relocated the fuel cell. It's a cool tack on the dash. It lights up with the glow from the light bar, which is actually really hot running at the voltage it's at, but it's holding. They're all holding. So we're going to get that scale engine in the back. It's going to look fantastic. Now, only thing we need is spring for some good weather and get outside and have some fun. But we're going to do a bunch of work to this guy. We're going to make a section that drops right to the floor, then climbs back up to that side to kind of rework this middle section down here. So we'll have a lot of runtime video with this. And stay tuned for Jesse's build. We're going to do the same interior that we did on this one to Jesse's, so we can both have the one-to-one. We'll do the full engine, all that in a nice video for you. I just wanted to get this one done beforehand so you don't have to watch us learn as we go, and we could show you how we figured it out. Stay tuned, guys. The furnace is about to fire up, so we'll see you guys on the next video.